Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you're here. And as you can tell, I'm outside. It was too beautiful not to do this outside. But I also wanted to do this outside for a whole host of reasons. One, because a lot of the messages I keep getting is from all of you in DMs and texts, how do I fit everything in when not everything works to plan and I'm not always in the place I think I'm going to be in. And I'm here to tell you, me either. And so while many people have these amazing podcast studios, everything is soundproof and the furniture is perfect, I don't. And that's not how I roll. It's usually all about where I am at that moment, what's happening, and when I have the inspiration to share what I want to share with you all. And you send me so many valuable tidbits and pointers about your own lives that I always feel so inspired to share more information about all the different subject matter that you're asking me about. And so today what I wanted to talk about is life and it's not perfect, and we plan and the universe laughs and goes, so that's what you think. So I just want you to understand what happens in my own world, because maybe this happens in yours, and I just want you to know you're not alone and it is okay. So I've talked many times before about every section of our life being a chapter, right? Like it's a different chapter when we're going to college. It's a different chapter when we're in our 20s or in our early 30s, or hell, for our 40s for that matter. And then this whole other chapter happens again at some point in our lives, for many of us, that they call this like midlife or midlife crisis. And I've had a lot of conversations lately with people between the ages, men and women, between the ages of, I'll say, 40 on up to like 60. And so many of us are walking around going, what the hell's going on? I thought I knew who I was. I thought I knew what I wanted. I thought I knew what was important to me. And all of a sudden, poof, it's like everything changed and I don't know what's happening. And, you know, I want to just share with you that this happens to all of us, right? And that every part of our life, if we consider it a different chapter within the book, right? There's not one story that's a good book that any of us have read in any category that you enjoy reading in that has the same character from beginning to end doing the exact same thing the whole time. Maybe their behavior pattern is similar, maybe their job is somewhat similar, but there's some sort of good character development, whether it's a book or a movie. And sometimes characters last through the whole production, and sometimes they're killed off in a chapter or in the beginning part of a movie or what have you. And so I just want you to recognize that just because you were doing something that you were passionate about, that you loved, that you felt amazing about when you were in your 20s and 30s may or may not suit you now that you're a little bit older or in a different place in your life, right? So there's a time and place for everything. If you lived in a certain part of the country when you were younger and you moved away, and you have these amazing thoughts of, oh, I'm going to go back, and you get back there, unless it's somewhere where you grew up and that's really what you're looking for, but you could go back to these places and you're such a different person in a different time of your life that it just doesn't feel the same or fit the same way. And the same thing can happen in your career path or your parenting style or your personal life. Don't feel like you need to stay the same. The thing that makes us all happy, healthy human beings and successful in our own endeavors, whether that's personally or professionally, is our ability to grow and morph and change. So give yourself the opportunity and freedom to do that. It can be really hard if you're in a relationship or in a family or in a job or a social circle where it's really like is like. And if you're slightly different than that, it doesn't fit the mold very well and it can feel a little off-putting or like uncomfortable. But recognize that your life is your life and everything you do is a choice. And with every choice you make, there's a different choice that happens afterwards. And it may not be the same choice for the person next to you, your spouse, your child, your family members, and that's okay. They're allowed to be their own person and you're allowed to be your own person. At this phase of our lives, especially those of us that have the opportunity to age gracefully, and I'll put that in quotes, because sometimes it's not very graceful at all. It gives us the chance to have this amazing thing called hindsight, right? Like the expression hindsight is 2020. You know, if I only knew now what I knew in my or if I only knew in my 20s what I know now, right? Life would be so different. But experience and the willingness to try something new and the ability to accept failure, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, gives us the opportunity to recreate and redevelop. And so for those of us who have a very type A personality, who don't really like failing, I have a different way of looking at things when I'm trying something new. So I don't look at things as failure. I just look at them as another way that I don't need to do that again. Like if something really doesn't work, I'm like, okay, learn my lesson, don't need to do that again. Sometimes it takes twice, but most of the time I try to do that in one take, especially if it's one of those lessons that you really don't want to repeat. But recognize that when you get to this point in your life, that you're supposed to be more comfortable in your own skin, right? So we know a little bit more of who we are, or what we want, or what's most important to us. It might change on a regular basis, and that's okay. I know it can drive everybody around you crazy when one minute you're looking at maybe moving into another house or another part of the country, or you want this car, and the next minute you want something else, or you want to go to this religious temple, church, whatever the situation is, and now you want to try this one. Like, I understand that can drive some of us nuts, but life is about exploration, right? It's about evolving. It's about being willing to accept that we're not perfect, that we need to have changes in our lives to fuel us and make us feel fulfilled. And it's okay. It's okay to try something new. It's okay to, put that dress on and walk in front of the mirror and go, okay, that doesn't look so good. I don't think I'm going to wear that, and try on something else. Try on a different persona, a different vibe, a different energy. And that goes for everything, whether it's your career path, your fitness path, the foods that you're eating, the people that you're involved with in your life, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, and your overall surroundings. Sometimes we just need a refresh, and a refresh in your home could be as simple as repainting a room or changing out your accessories and buying different pillows to spruce things up a little bit. It could be changing out your closet and going through all of the clothing that you have in there and accessories or what have you. And this works for men and women and children as well. And cleaning everything out that you just doesn't make you feel spectacular, that you look at and go, why the hell did I buy this again? Or why am I keeping it? And getting rid of it and putting something else in there that makes you feel fabulous, right? It could be as simple as switching out the way you go to work every day because you're so tired of driving up and down the same street, and there's 3 other ways you could get there, and maybe they take 5 minutes longer, but it gives you a whole different vantage point and something else to look at for a little while. Refresh, rebrand, change are all fabulous things, but give yourself the time and energy and permission to do that. So let's talk a little about refreshing our surroundings in terms of people and energy. At this point in our lives, many of us have started to really recognize, or maybe you've always known, what we need in our lives to give us energy, to make us feel better, to inspire us, to make us feel creative, to help us feel like we're adding value to the world, right? And sometimes it's very, very different things than it was when we were in our 20s and 30s or even 40s. And sometimes it's not. And for those of you that are just now entering your 20s, 30s, and 40s, it's different than when you were a teenager, right? And your thoughts are a little more different, and your experiences have been evolving, and so those are a little bit different. And all of a sudden, you're looking at the people that you're surrounding yourself with and recognizing that some of them need to stay in your life forever, and some of them need to go. And the question is, how do we do that? How do we make the refresh for the people that we're surrounded by that aren't fueling us and helping us move forward? And sometimes it's a clean break. Sometimes it's just a situation where both of you are on different paths, and it's just a natural evolution of time where one of you moves in one direction and one of you moves the other, and there's nothing bad or negative about it. It's just time to move on. In some cases, it needs to be a very conscious decision because you've chosen something that is either healthier or more balanced, or I don't know, anything that's different than what maybe you were doing in the past, right? And the people that you want to surround yourself with are people that you want to give energy to and that you want them to give you energy as well. People that help you feel inspired, that raise you up. You know, Rick always talks about when you're playing against an athlete, you want to play up, not play down, in order to find your own strengths, right? And to play better. And life is no different. We have to play up. We have to surround ourselves with people that we love and enjoy and feel inspired by and have passions and very, very different energy than those people who are like sucking it all out of you and waiting for you to be the life of the party and waiting for you to do everything and just kind of ooze that energy away from you, right? And we all know those people or are related to those people. All of us have somebody in our lives like that. But what I want you to recognize is you move forward, don't fear the refresh. Like I said, whether it's in your closet, in your home, in your workouts, in your nutrition, in the people you surround yourself with, in your professional life, somewhere in your personal life, don't be afraid of the refresh. Things aren't perfect. You may have had a plan. You thought you were on that path. You knew this is exactly what was going to happen, where you were going to go, and what you were going to do. And all of a sudden the universe says, I don't think so. I've been sending you these messages and you're supposed to be doing something different. Listen to it, right? Because sometimes we plan and it doesn't always work out that way, you know? So give yourself the freedom, give yourself the opportunity to explore more. And if it's a little bit different than what you thought, that's okay. And it's a little bit different than the rest of your household, that's okay. Give yourself the time and space to pursue what makes you happy. And if people really care about you, they're gonna let you do that. As long as you're not, you know, we're not talking self-harm, we're not doing anything bad here. We're looking for inspiration. We're looking for creativity, we're looking for passion, we're looking for that next chapter, those next characters in your life, and things that make you feel whole and vibrant and well and balanced. Because what else do we have in life? Anything can change in any given moment. Health condition can come up, you know, something can happen financially. We live in Florida, so Lord knows, and my heart goes out to everybody that was affected and impacted by the hurricane, this particular one and all those in the past, but especially this one. And life can, you know, throw you lemons on a regular basis. Sometimes we want to freeze them and toss them at people. Sometimes we want to make lemonade, but we can't always figure it out ahead of time. And sometimes we just need to choose the path that feels right at that moment. And it might not have felt right 5 minutes ago, 5 days ago, or 5 years ago, but right now it feels right. So if this is something that you've been thinking about and in your own life you're trying to figure out this refresh, and maybe you've been journaling or meditating or prayer or talking to your friends and your family members, and you're trying to figure out what feels right for you, what you should put on in terms of this next layer of skin or this next chapter in your life, recognize that's okay. It's okay to make these changes. You do not have to stay the same. We want you to grow. We want you to be enlightened and passionate and spirited and to share your gifts with the world. And sometimes that doesn't look the way that we think it's going to look. So have fun with your personal refresh. Something that you can do that I do, and you've heard me say this before in other videos and in my Instagram, is the download dump. And I love having a journal next to my bed, and instead of a phone, for sure, I need to write this stuff down to get it out of my head and on paper. And if you're from my generation, you probably want that as well. I know, we're old. But there's something about having it go from your head to your hand to get it off your brain and be able to sleep better and feel more at peace, at least for myself. So this download dump, I like to write whatever's on my mind, whatever I'm struggling with, whatever I've been thinking about and processing, and just kind of write it down, get it out of my head and onto paper. And as I go through this download dump, it allows me to play with that refresh of all the things that I'm a list maker. Those who know me know I have lists for my lists. I have reminders on my phones and set up as appointments, but I'm always looking to better myself. I'm always thinking that I'm a work in progress, that I'm clay that needs to be molded. And so this refresh for me is a constant thing. I'm constantly refreshing my closet. I'm constantly refreshing my life. I'm looking to add new things in so that I can be inspired and hopefully inspire some of you. And I love that feeling of evolving and ever changing. You know, it's a silly thing. It's kind of like In our closets, I didn't want to put the traditional California closet or something in there where everything was in a fixed place. I wanted something where I could move it around and change it as my needs changed. And so I'm always looking for that refresh. And using the download dump and using the journal next to my bed and jotting things down as they come into my mind helps me take this refresh to the next level. So not only does it refresh in here, but I can bring it into my overall surroundings. And I love that. I love that energy. I love that ability to revamp and redo. And sometimes it takes the download dump. Sometimes I sage the whole house and get rid of negative energy and open up all those windows and put on great music and then sit down with my journal to figure out how I want to refresh and add my list of things that are most important to me right now and those things that I want to move to shelf them, let's say, or cut that character out of my life or change that chapter. So when you're looking to refresh, you can refresh any single area of your life, but it is sometimes easier to start with one little place first. Like I said, maybe it's a closet, maybe it's a person in your life that you've been meaning to part ways with. Maybe it is something as simple as refreshing a room to refresh your energy. Maybe it's taking a look at all the things you're so amazing at in your career and all of the things that don't make you happy in your career and making those two lists and finding an opportunity that gives you the chance to use all of your gifts and talents and the things that you love. So let's talk about that refresh in our own lives. Let me know how you plan on refreshing yours, and thank you for allowing me to refresh mine, and hopefully my feeling of being inspired helps to inspire some of you. I look forward to seeing you soon, and remember, if you find value in this channel of all things women wellness, then I would love for you to subscribe and like and share with all the women in your life that you know. So, we'll see you soon. Peace.